All right, Buffs Nation. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. I imagine a handful of you guys are traveling into Boulder tonight. If you're from out of town, uh, getting ready for all the festivities tonight and tomorrow, which is great. I was able to get myself a couple of tickets for tomorrow, so I'm excited to be there to witness history and hopefully see the Buffs put on quite a show tomorrow. But speaking of shows, we have our own show that we're running today. Really happy to have John Gaw, running the YouTube channel Buff Since Birth, back on the show. He's somebody who has been a lifelong Buffs fan growing up here in Boulder, now living out in, I believe, the Phoenix, Arizona area, and excited to have him on again, talking about all of his history with the CU Nebraska rivalry. And also, I mean, he was showing me some of the cool stuff he's got and taking a lot of notes. He has a handful of insights and keys to the game that he's looking forward to sharing with y'all. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Trey Ivory, thank you so much for the kind comment, and we'll go ahead and get started. So be sure to hit that like, let me know in the comments who's watching, and we'll welcome on John. How's it going, man?
What's up, my man? How are you?
Man, having a great Friday, and man, this week has just been so much fun. We were talking a little bit backstage, and it's been my goal, with this channel throughout the year to just connect with so many different people, with content creators, and man, we're off to a great start to that after the TCU game. I've met with a handful of y'all, and hopefully we can keep all this going on throughout the whole season. So it really means a lot. And for those who haven't met you or seen you before, John, why don't you take just a quick minute to give people a little synopsis about your history with CU?
Okay, yeah. I was born and raised in Boulder, so I've been around a minute. Yeah, my dad started to take me to games in '75, so I was all of 7 years old. So I'm very much aging myself. I'm 55, but yeah. So I remember the years of even pulling this to Nebraska is I remember my dad, and those were the Eddie Crowder days. I mean, people probably don't know who Eddie Crowder is, but he was the coach during the '70s. And my dad would throw stuff at the TV all the time. And I'm a kid going, what is wrong with you? But I completely understand it now. But that was like, so my dad was so involved, and my grandfather was so involved. Like, it's a family thing. My nephew graduated from there just not too long ago. So like, it is ingrained in us to love CU. I'm a Denver Bronco fan, but CU is my number one love. 100%. My dad gave me this jacket.
Oh, man.
It's about 20 years old. And it's, I remember we were at a Nuggets game, very like in the 90s. And my dad and I walked out, and he had this jacket on. So it's probably older than that, 30 years maybe. But anyway, we're walking out, and who walks out of one of the suites at the level there is Alfred Williams.
Let's go.
He sees my dad's jacket, and he's like, "See you, my man. What's up? All right." He comes up, shakes our hand, and it was just like, that was Alfred Williams. Like, he was the man right then, right? So yeah, so it just means so much to us. And like, even Nebraska, I remember, so everybody's like, so why the rivalry? Why this big rivalry? Well, I'll tell you, I even texted a couple like Colin and Harry B with TPL and stuff. And I think I even texted you this. I'm like, it was 1986. It was 10 degrees. It had snowed 2 feet. So we're standing in 2 feet of snow in the stands. I'm 16, 17. I bring a buddy to the game with me. We're going to a bar called Thirsties, which was a bar back then. And so he's dressed in this pink shirt with a thing tied, or a sweater tied around his neck. And he's like wearing penny loafers without socks. I'm like, dude, you're going to die. And it was just crazy. I'm like, I don't know why that memory just hit me, but we're sitting there, and it was just one of those defensive games for a long time. But we ended up winning that game 20-10, and we hadn't won for 19 years.
Good Lord.
And it was just heaven. 86. Yeah, it was heaven. 20-10. I can remember the game like it was yesterday, because it was such a big deal to us to win finally, after, I mean, they had schooled us even beyond that for years, but it was so nice to see that win. And then my roommate that I do, like, he'll come on my channel sometimes, Gary, he's like, because I'm going to go watch the game with a guy named JJ Holmes, who played from 84 to 87. And he's got a bar here in town. And so I got to watch the TCU game last week with him. Coolest guy ever. So if you're in Arizona, go down to JJ's Grub Shack, because he's having the games and he's got this big 20-foot TV and amazing. But, it's like, I remember Gary's like, why is which game is bigger? I'm like, this one by far. And he goes, I said, it's way more important and he goes, no, there's no way this game can be more important than TCU. And I'm like, no, that game was important, but this one, and I had to dig a little bit because he kept arguing me. No, that game was way more important, way more important. I said, no, this one's personal though.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's personal is because I remember I went to high school with Christy McCartney. Mm-hmm. And I remember when Sal Inessi was sick. And I remember being on the side in the crowd. Sal is literally very close to dying within a couple months. And Nebraska came to town. He's in a wheelchair on the sidelines and just sick as a dog. And he had just been such a great quarterback, and he got sick quick. And Nebraska made fun of him.
Yeah.
And since then, we used to respect the rivalry. It's personal now. We hate Nebraska. Hate Nebraska. So that's what it means to me. That's what CU means to me. That's what this rivalry means to me, is that a lot of people are like, man, it's like the championship thing gets brought up like yesterday. And I was like, I lived that. I lived the last championship years, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm really excited about the championship talk, because I'm here to enjoy that kind of ride if we do go there. I'm not saying we will, but if we do, I'm going to enjoy it like it is Thanksgiving dinner at grandma's house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, beautifully said. And John, I want to highlight a couple of the comments here really quick. Eric Groves and Sparky Buffs commenting in. Eric Groves says, I remember watching that Jeff Campbell reserve against Nebraska in 1986. That was magical. And then we got Sparky Buff chiming in here as well, saying, I remember being in the 5th grade in 94. We lost to Nebraska in Lincoln, and I cried like a baby. I will take my last breath on earth rooting against the Nubs. I love that.
All right, Sparky. My man. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. It's so funny because he was the gentleman that just had that was there as well. I gave me chills, right? I'm like, I just remember that. And it was so important to us and our family. And yeah, it's weird that I think all my clothes are CU. I mean, like, I have probably 30 shirts in my closet, and they're all black CU shirts, right? Or some gray in there, but yeah. So it's just like, that's how much I love CU and what it meant to me, and growing up in Boulder. And I went to Fairview High School, and the only thing that sucked about going to Fairview is our colors are red and white.
What is up with
someday
that?
They need to change that.
Yeah, we need to change that, man. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with the BVSD, right? If if they're having that happen with the
I'm telling you, dude,
combinations, man, we need to change that. So anyways, let's get into what you're looking forward to in today's or in tomorrow's matchup. Well, first, let me take a step back, actually. I want to get your instant reaction of how you felt last week, with that whole game going on, and then we can kind of talk about how that's transitioning into what I also agree with you on, that this is the biggest matchup of the year. This is the most important.
Yeah. It was nice because I thought I was going to have to watch the game by myself, and I'm in like probably 6 or 7 different Buff streams on Facebook and Twitter and all that, and I'm like, does anybody in Arizona watch the game? Is anybody here? And JJ Holmes, like, he's like, yeah, I got a bar. We're going to be there. And I get there at like 8:30. And I did a quick little short on outside the bar. And I was talking with you because you were doing your live thing. And I remember saying, I'm nervously excited. And you're like, I'm not, fuck it. We're going to win this. Right. And I was like, yeah, but that's the feeling I've had for the last 20 years, nervously excited. And usually I'm just proven completely wrong. And because every year I'm like, maybe this year. And of course, 2016 was nice, but every other year has been like, boy. So that's what made me nervously excited, is because I was super excited about it, but there's still, like, the whole thing is they didn't let us in enough on well off and stuff to really see how special they were. Right. So I'm kind of like, that's the only reason I was nervously excited. I really believed that they would come out and probably keep it close, but I had no idea how great they were. So being able to go watch it with JJ Holmes, and then he had a buddy in town. His name's Brett Vaughn, and he played basketball at CU during that time in the 80s. He's like, I put a picture on Facebook. He's like 6'8". I'm 6 foot. I look like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger in this picture, right? Because I'm little. Excuse me. And so watching it with those guys, because it means as much to them as it did me, and even more, man, they told me some stories behind the scenes that I will never share about what went on. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, yikes. All right, well, cool. Anyway, yeah, it was crazy, but it was neat to hear those stories. But it was like watching it with those guys, we were flipping out. We were flipping out, straight flipping out. I think I had 10 Bloody Marys that morning. Best Bloody Marys I've had in my life. And I'm like, and I'm not a big drinker. So I'm like, by the end of the game, I'm like, this is the best day of my life, other than way back in the 80s. Yeah, like, it was almost better now, because it's like, I think I can enjoy it more. And I enjoyed it then. But being older and wiser, and, well, I'm probably not much wiser, but because I'm still like 12 up here. But yeah, my daughter calls me Peter Pan because I'm like, squirrel. That's me. But man, just being able to take it in at a different time in my life, it was magical. That's the only word I can say, is it was magical. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
That's the perfect way to describe it, man. Just a magical experience. And yeah, like this whole year, it feels so different for me. I feel like, just as a fan, I think, last year with CU winning one game, and then, the Broncos being what they were. I mean, my football fandom soul was pretty much like crucified. And I feel like, since then I've kind of had to, for lack of a better term, rebirth myself, like, as a football fan, coming in with just trying to enjoy it, not set my expectations too insanely high, specifically for the Broncos. But coming in with just an excitement to enjoy, whatever happens. It ended with a perfect ending, and couldn't have asked for a better first game from this team. Now, going
magical.
into Nebraska, what is, right now, how are you feeling about the game? I know you took some notes, so, I mean,
just a few.
Share with the people. Let's hear it.
All right, I've got my old man glasses on here, because don't get old, it hurts. But yeah, it's one thing. I was watching Rich Eisen, and he said this. I just made it's at the top of my notes, and he said, we're gonna beat them back to the Homestead Act.
I saw that. I love that.
And I went, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it, right? But yeah, I mean, listen, we will have to, for sure. They're going to have, the only way they're going to win is if they run on us. Mm-hmm. And they're able to, because listen, Sims he's a runner, and he can get it. And unless we shore some things up on the inside, and honestly a little bit on the outside, it's going to be a tough game. Now, I'm not worried about his passing. He couldn't throw to my grandma, right? And she's dead. So like, it's just, he's not going to, sorry, but it's like, I don't know if that's good. So I don't think they're going to get us in the throwing game. But it's just, the other thing I wrote down that was big was their special teams is good. They've got really good special teams. And, sometimes, as we saw last week, sometimes special teams can win the game.
Yes.
And so we really have to get better at our special teams and fix that. So So it's just, and their defense isn't horrible. I mean, they're there, they're big dudes. And the thing is they're the kind of guys that, especially with like a Dylan Edwards, is they're going to try to kill this kid. They're big guys and they're going to try to wipe him out of the game. Yeah. Not that they probably won't catch him, but if they do, that's what they're going to do to try to get us off our feet. So that was a note I made. So far, yeah. What do you think about that?
Man, I'm really glad that you brought up special teams because throughout all the videos that I've done this week or live streams, not once have I talked about the special teams matchups. That's a great insight. And yeah. I think I was listening. It might have been KOA. It might have been Big Al's show because, I love Big Al. But
yeah, cool guy.
Him and Dave Logan might have been talking on there about how, special teams is still a concern. And with what we saw last week, we're hoping, that we can clean things up. But, special teams, if we're going to be in some close games moving forward, the special teams could make or break, getting the victory or not in what would be a close game. So hopefully it's not a close game to where if there is still some play that's a little rough around the edges, it won't come back to bite us. But you want to see us this week do some of the simple things right, like snap the ball correctly with good timing on the field goals, block correctly for the field goals so that the kicker can get those things off. I'm not really sure what was happening because it seems like to me, I'm wondering what your opinion is on this. Like Jace Feely, it seems like he has the leg, but I don't know if it was strategy or not, like to not be kicking it through the end zone or at least have, a handful of touchbacks last week. I would love to see us kick the ball in the end zone, especially at altitude. But what did you think about all that?
Yeah, a couple things I was surprised with is that he had Jace Feely actually, except for that first kick, he had Jace Feely kick the rest of the game for the most part. So I don't know why he didn't have Mata doing that, the shorter ones. That was kind of interesting to me. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was actually probably strategy because I know Jace Feely can kick it beyond the end zone. So I think it might have been a little strategy because they did believe it. And they did pretty good holding them, there. But I'm with you. I think the altitude for sure is going to help with that. But I'm with you. I hope they kick it to that Colorado end zone and that we used to go sledding on as a kid. And I'm telling you, I hope it does go out of there. So, it's funny. You talk about Alfred Williams. I've got kind of a quick story. Yeah. My dad was in the Elks Club in Louisville. Mm-hmm. And they would do a charity basketball team every year. And it was against another Elks club. So he would bring in Lyle Alzado as the referee. So I got to hang out with Lyle Alzado a long time ago. There's a name for you, right? But when he went to the Raiders, we didn't have anybody. And that my dad got Alfred Williams information. And from then on, Alfred Williams was the referee doing that. So yeah, cool as a kid to be able to see these massive individuals, doing that. But no, I think that we need to really kick it out of, we can't give him any chance to run one back. Even punting scares me. He needs to definitely, what a kick, what a leg, huh? And I saw, did you see, I'm sure you saw in one of the things, he's like, well, what happened when you shanked that one? I told you. But he gave him a second chance. Then the next one was on the 1 yard line. So. Yeah. But we can't let him run it all the way back for a touchdown this time. But or bring it all the way back. But yeah, I think our special teams have probably had to boot up their ass pretty far this week. And I'm hoping that they shore it up a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm sure that hurt a little bit. So I'm hoping they do a little bit better tomorrow for sure.
Oh, totally. Yeah. With the Nebraska offense being a little bit more one-dimensional than what we saw last week with TCU, it is just paramount that we're not giving them opportunities to break big plays in other aspects. So, of course, that means we're taking care of the ball. We're not fumbling, anything like that. Shador continues to make good decisions, and that we're kicking it out of the end zone. We're solid on punt coverage, and that, we're not shaking punts. It was great to see Mark Bassett bounce back. We had some good bounce backs from both Mark Bassett and, Jace Feely. They both made good kicks and punts after,
I don't think that first kick, Yeah, I don't think that first kick was his fault at all. I think it
No.
was snapped to her. I think it was snapped early on him and he wasn't ready. And I think it was just a timing thing. But
Yeah.
listen, that last week, as good as we did, that was preseason for us. So I expect him to be way, way, way better. Right? That
Yeah.
was totally preseason. So one thing I wanted to point out that I don't see a lot of people pointing out. If you watch that last play when Slusher stopped that tight end,
Hmm.
uh, Sanders was right there. His son Shiloh was right there. That guy wasn't getting past Shiloh, and he was there 2 yards before the line to gain. And
Hmm.
so even if he missed him, which was a great play and got him from behind,
Yeah.
Shiloh was like squared up, ready to stop him at any cost right there. So I don't know if you noticed that, but I've watched the game. CU won 5 times last week because I've watched the game that many times. But
Oh, I
but
love
you know,
that.
you want to look and just kind of see what, but he was there. So even if Slusher didn't stop him, Shiloh was there to make sure he didn't make that line of game, which was cool as hell. That was a
Well,
cool play.
I love that. Yeah, it was a great way to end the game, and yeah, Shiloh.
Mhm.
I think he had either one or two tackles that might have gotten away from him, but again, tied for the most tackles on the team. That was great, and I think what really excites me about this matchup is, yes, all the memes, all the trash talk, all the rivalry stuff, that's great, but for what we saw last week, we really missed a lot of open field tackles. Some tackles where we had guys lined up or wrapped up around the line of scrimmage and they're getting out. And so this is going to be a real test for us to see if we've corrected those mistakes. And we're playing fundamental football.
Yeah. And it's the thing is I'm sure they had that same boot up their ass this week. But the thing is I don't think they probably even needed that. I really think that they have taken 100%, inside to where personally to that, okay, that was me. And I'm not going to let that happen again. You hear him talking this week and like, that's not happening again this week. We personally want to do better. And I love that because a lot of times these are young kids. We forget that sometimes they are young kids. And, to have for them to stand up and go, hey, my bad, my bad you know and then another thing that was brought up a lot about that TCU game was that these guys are never going to get it together in 2 months. And I think I did a show on this, one of my first shows. I was an aircraft firefighter in the USS Constellation in the Navy, and was in the Persian Gulf War. And you know what, when I went to boot camp, we had 150 guys in there that were from all walks of life, before the internet, before television. That wasn't that bad, but it was like, but we all went into boot camp totally different. We go in, get our head shaved, get 21 inoculations in 2 days. By the time we were out of boot camp in 2 months, every one of us was ready to go to war with the guy next to us that I didn't know 2 months ago. And this really isn't much different. So that part of it I wasn't surprised with. That's like one of those things. It's just, you are ready to fight with your brother even if you're from wherever,
Yeah.
and it can happen that quickly.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see. But I think that's only going to grow throughout the season, and I think it's going to come to fruition tomorrow. I don't think that everybody's thinking that Nebraska is going to be a walk in the park. I don't think so. I think they're coming ready. They have tape, folks. They've got tape to watch. And even though they didn't see everything, they still have tape to watch, and they have a lot more to prepare for than TCU or anybody else had. So I don't think it's really going to be a walk in the park.
No.
I hope it is. I'd love to see him, just like I said, knock him back to the Homestead Act. That would be great. But yeah, but I really don't know that it's going to be that simple, because listen, Nebraska hates us as much as we hate them. So it's gonna be crazy, and I'm here for it. I'm so excited. I won't sleep tonight. There's no way I'm
Yeah.
gonna sleep tonight.
Hey, it feels like Christmas yet again, only 1 week later, getting to see a big time matchup like this, well said. And I want to hit on our friendly Cornhusker fan, Mike is checking in. He says, heads up, Dave. You're going to hear names you didn't when Nebraska played Minnesota. We're focused on a different type of game plan than last week.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow. Go Big Red. Absolutely, yeah. Mike. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will live up to my bet. If Nebraska takes care of business, we can do a whole show where you're running things. So, let me know if you want to take me up on it. If they end up taking care of business. But I've seen, a lot of people projecting a big blowout for this, and I would love to see that, obviously. But right now, I don't have a score prediction. They might try and ugly this game up a little bit, and but I did feel, this is not betting advice, but I did feel good, betting on the spread this week, and that's just what I'm hoping for. So I think it's going to be an entertaining game. But yeah, what are your thoughts for? Do you have like a score prediction or any X factors or like certain players that you feel like could that we should keep an eye on for this game?
Well, I agree with Mike. I think we're going to see some different things that we hadn't seen before, and they're preparing differently for us because, as Mike knows, Nebraska and Colorado, he looks like he's older guy that he's probably seen that rivalry for a long time as well. If you're not Mike, I apologize. Put up a different picture, but no, just kidding. But no, we've lived this, right? So I agree with Mike. There have been seasons where we're like, yeah, we're going to walk in and kill these guys, and we lost by 3 points because we should have won those games, and they didn't. They lost by 3. So listen, Mike's right. We're going to see things that we didn't see against Minnesota. I don't think they quite thought Minnesota was going to be as good as they were against them. And I don't think they quite thought they were going to play as bad. Now, listen, Sims has got a lot to clean up too. And you can't tell me that guy's not trying to get cleaned up and do that. Right. So these guys are trying to beat us. It's a different game plan with us. So I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. I agree with Mike on that. I honestly think we're going to be seeing another shootout like we did last week. I think it's going to be, I didn't take my heart pills with me last week. I'm taking them this week with me. I think that's why I had 10 Bloody Marys, is I'm like, I don't have my heart pills. I'm another Bloody Mary over here, right here. But JJ and Brent had just as many. So I felt good about it. Oh. But yeah, but I think it's going to be a one of those games where it's back and forth. But what I will say is that heart will win every time, and this team does not lack in talent, and they don't lack in heart. I think, honestly, the thing that's really going to help us is in the fourth quarter when these guys get tired because they have no air to breathe. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be, and I think we're going to win by 7.
Okay, well, there we have it. John booked a 7-point win for the Buffs, and I love the point of altitude too. Like, let's wear them out. Let's play fast. They were even saying, last week how they weren't even playing as fast as they wanted to play against TCU. So, now having a game under their belt, we'll have to see just how much faster they can move. But man, really looking forward to it. We got to wrap up here. So, John, thank you so much for your time.
Before we go, I want to show you one cool last thing. Check these out. Right?
Let's go.
So I remember being 12 years old, and Run DMC comes out and goes, "My Adidas," and I'm like 12 going. Ooh, right. So now that I can afford them, I've got 45 pair of Adidas, but I found these and literally these are one of one. I painted black and gold. Cool. Got a pair of these that I wear at each game. So I thought you'd enjoy that. So, but yeah, man, go Buffs and Sco Buffs, shall we say. Thank you for having me on. Please go to my channel, and I do a little bit different content than everybody else. I did a show on the history of Ralphie and how she came about and some of that kind of stuff. It doesn't get very many hits, but that's kind of what I'm into. So if you really want some content from a real Buffs fan that has been there forever, I'm not saying you're not, but there are some guys, they're Deion Sanders fans, right? They're Coach Prime fans. They're not CU fans. I bleed black and gold 100%. This, right? This is 30 years old. So, it's like I bleed black and gold, and I'm sure there are people watching this that do too. Please go like and subscribe, and I'd appreciate it. And I'm a nobody, but I'm having fun. I'm doing this for me. First
Yeah.
and foremost, I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for everybody else, but it would be nice to be able to do a live chat and have somebody other than my poodle watching. So,
Man.
please check it out. I'd appreciate it. And I got this cool little toy I'm trying to figure out where I can do like claps, and there's like little Johns on there going, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have so much fun with that.
Oh man,
All right. Well, I know
love
you have
that.
to go, and I appreciate your time. You've been so
Yeah.
gracious and so kind to me. And it means a lot to me that you've helped me out. And listen, this guy is genuine. He's a sweetheart of a guy, and I'm glad that I have a new friend in Boulder. That's so great.
Hey, I appreciate that, John. And yeah, man, likewise, man. It's been great getting to know you, and can't wait to talk with how with how this whole experience after the Nebraska game goes. So
Yeah,
we'll be sure to do that. And again,
cool.
everybody checking in, really appreciate it. If this is your first time being invested in this Colorado-Nebraska rivalry, this is going to be a wonderful experience for you guys. So take it all in, enjoy it, and yeah, I'll be back. Maybe I might have a video posted tomorrow. I'm gonna promise anything except a post game at some point after
Yeah.
I'm home, but going to the game, it will be like a
Oh,
7 hour
enjoy.
event.
I'm
So
glad. That's so great you get to go. Oh, I would give anything to go there, but yeah, I just I'm hoping to make the USC game. And like I
yeah,
said, if you decide to jump in the car and come down to Arizona for the ASU game, just let me know. I'll help you out, brother.
likewise, I appreciate it. Well, again, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Let's see, Mike, Silas, Marcellus Love, Sparky Buff, Eric Groves, Trey Ivory. Thank you so much for your comments. Hit that like on the way out. Keck, thank you for tuning in as well. And
He's
John,
in Arizona.
yes, he's in Arizona as well. But y'all, thanks for tuning in. And as always, Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.